Welcome to our show, Obsessed, where we talk about cryptids, mythology, folklore, and whatever else we're currently obsessed with. I'm Caitlin Palmer.
And I'm Clay.
And we're
Obsessed.
Hello, everybody. I feel like it's been a long time since we've recorded, but it really hasn't been that long.
Nah, we're still just only recording every other week or so.
Yeah, and the holidays are upon us and everything. But Clay, for today's intro, I have prepared a 45-minute presentation about why I love our rat.
Okay, if you could trim that, I got a few keynotes. If you could trim that down to, say, 35 or 40 seconds, I think that would be just fine.
Okay, I'm going to give you the cliff notes of it, okay?
Okay.
Hi, my name is Caitlin Palmer, and one time I rescued 3 baby rats because they were in a barn and they were going to eat them, but then I was like, no, don't do it, and they were going to kill all the rats, but then they couldn't kill the babies, so I was like, hey, you want these baby rats? And I was like, yeah, I want these baby rats. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with these baby rats? But then I raised them, and then 2 died, but then 1 didn't, and then I kept it, and it's my little girl, and I just gave her a piece of cheese, and she loves it, and rats only live like 3 years, but she's a wild rat, so I'm like, maybe she'll live a little longer, but she may not, and she may, I don't know. But either way, she's going to live a super happy, wonderful rat life, and that's it.
Okay.
All right.
You actually had a little bit more time you could have played with, and I appreciate that.
I like to play it safe.
Okay.
I don't like to take a whole lot of rat risks.
That was only about 18 seconds, so.
Yeah. Well, I felt rushed, so I probably didn't do as good as I could have. But anyway.
We only do 1 take around here, so it's
we only do 1 take. We don't stop and start over 8 times. That's not something we do every single time.
I'm sure you've definitely never restarted the opening.
Never in my life. But Clay, I really do have some super great news for everybody.
For everybody?
For everybody. So we like to start with like a new story or a groundbreaking thing in veterinary medicine.
Or sometimes just something.
Or just something.
We
or
saw
about
on Yahoo
rats.
News.
Yeah, we maybe saw it on Yahoo News. But our producer, Dr. Jill Lopez, won the 2022 International Women of Influence Awards, and that's issued by the Universal Women's Network for her work with vet candy, and that's so incredible! That's so awesome. I'm so proud. We had to share that with the world. That's badass. Badass. Clay, you know what else is badass? Whatever you're talking about today.
That's all you wanted to say about it?
I don't know what else to say except that it's friggin' badass.
Okay.
I had a meltdown because I was like, I'll never be that cool. But I'm okay with it now. For now.
You're okay with You've really gone through some stuff in the last 30 seconds.
It's been an emotional roller coaster. I'm exhausted.
I'm glad you're able to come to terms with it so quickly.
Yeah, I kind of go through all the stages of any emotions really quickly.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I have a story for today's subject.
Story time.
Yeah.
Hold on.
So,
where's my Squishmallow?
There's got to be one within arm's reach.
There usually is. Here, I'll hold my David Bowie pillow. Continue.
Okay. May he protect you. Evening time, almost dusk. Young Karun has finished the last of his chores and was preparing to go to the edge of the forest to pick some jackfruit to surprise his ama for her birthday. Young Karun had been warned of the dangers of the forest, but he could not leave until his chores were done, and now the sky was growing dark. He had seen the ripe jackfruit the day before, so as long as he stayed on the trail, he shouldn't get lost, he thought. The sky was growing dark, and if not for the moon, Karun wouldn't have been able to see at all. But he stuck to the trail, and soon he arrived at the grove where the jackfruit grew. They were enormous. Many of the fruit were as big as he. He thought only if he had a cart to carry them all. But one would have to do, at least for tonight. After he surprised his ama with one of these, he'd show his family the grove and they could all come back and pick their fill. Karun searched through the trees till he finally found one big enough to fill his sack, but not too big to carry. He twisted the fruit from its place and put it in the sack. He couldn't help but smile at the thought of how happy his ama would be, but he heard a sound. It sounded like music, played on a trumpet, but this time of day, or night rather. It didn't sound particularly good, and it was too odd not to investigate. Karun followed the sound of the trumpet. Or was it a flute? It was a strange sound, and suddenly the music stopped. Karun looked about and saw an old man standing in the grass. The grass was so tall, only the man's face could be seen. Karun called out to the man and asked him if he had been the one playing that strange tune. But the old man did not speak. The old man simply stared at Karun. He did not seem angry, nor did he seem happy. His face was blank, as if in a trance, staring off into the distance. Karun felt nervous now. To break the silence, he told the old man of the delicious jackfruit grove, but the old man did not answer. Karun noticed the old man's head was rather large, too large for a normal man to have, and his eyes, they were the strangest blue, beautiful even, but empty and cold. Karun apologized to the old man for disturbing him, and turned to go back home. For the first time, the old man moved. He began to smile, but there was no pleasantness in this. His smile was too wide. Inhumanly wide. It reached from one ear to the next, nearly bisecting his head from his bottom jaw. Each tooth long and sharp like a needle, that fit perfectly between the other two on either side, like the teeth of a bear trap. And that's what it was. Like a trap that would seal you in so that you may never see the light of day again. There would be no escape from that maw. Worst of all, as it opened its mouth, Karun could see another set of teeth behind those, and behind those, a third. The old man rose from the grass. His body was that of a lion's, fur the color of a deep red, and his tail like a giant scorpion's. The old man leapt from the grass, and Karun ran. He ran as hard as he could, but the old man was fast. He dropped his jackfruit and tried to scream, but no sound would leave him. Karun ran with nothing else in mind but escaping this beast. And then Karun heard a sound. He heard sounds like axes chopping into a tree trunk. That's when it whizzed past his head. A spike the size of his arm slammed into a tree in front of him, and then more on either side. The beast was whipping them from his tail like arrows. Karun was not particularly fast or dexterous, but he was small, and he weaved between the trees as he ran, and they protected him, and even when he emerged from the forest, he dared not look behind. He did not stop running until he was at his front door. The beast wasn't there anymore, and for a moment it was quiet, but as he slipped inside, he could hear that music, playing off in the distance, deep in the forest.
Didn't much care for that. It was actually, no, like the story was really good. Just the creature itself. Because you showed me a picture of these, and for me, the scariest part is that blank look. Like, it's this terrifying creature with 3 rows of teeth, and it's just like...
Yeah. So what we're talking about today is the Manticore.
Ooh.
The Manticore is a creature from Persian myth. It has the body of a lion, the head and face of a human, and usually a spiked tail. Though sometimes it is shaped like the head of a mace. Another common depiction is usually that with the tail being like a scorpion's.
Right.
In some descriptions, it was said the Manticore could hurl poisonous spines from its tail, and that it had 3 rows of teeth. Often the teeth were described as needle, sharp, and locked in a constant smile that stretched from ear to ear.
Oh, don't care for that. Yeah, like abnormally wide smiles and rows of teeth except on sharks are creepy.
Any rows of teeth except on sharks.
Yeah, sharks, it's cute. Also, I want to try jackfruit.
I guess quick side note about jackfruit. When I said that they can, I think I mentioned that they can get big. They get to like up to 60 pounds.
Oh, jackfruit are huge.
Yeah, enormous.
And the fruit's like poddy. Like it's like
right, kind of like a pomegranate.
Yeah.
The meat of the fruit is stringy, kind of like chicken or pork.
Mm-hmm.
And some people say it's sweet, but some people say that it tastes like cooked pork, actually.
Yeah, it's in a lot of vegan recipes.
Yeah, it's apparently a good stand-in for meat.
Mm-hmm. I've heard it's good.
I mean, it sounds good to me.
I like most food. I mean, I'll try.
I wrote the story, but I only found out about jackfruit today, so...
Really?
Yeah, I was like, what kind of fruit grows in India? So I went on a whole side thing looking at different fruits indigenous to India, and I was like, the jackfruit is the coolest sounding among these fruits.
Oh, don't you love a rabbit hole?
Yeah. So the spines are often described as arrows, and sometimes it's described as having horns and wings. The differences have to do with the Greeks' retelling of the stories. They often treat Manticore as more of a religious symbol than a wild beast.
Really?
Yeah, it has a lot to do with almost like, not really guarding the gates of hell, but like they are hell beasts. I guess meant to torment you and to keep you in hell, so.
Yeah?
Not to keep people out, but keep people in.
Oh, so why was it, why did poor baby run into it when he was getting his little jackfruit?
Well, because in like the Persian and Indian myths, a manticore is just this wild beast that lives out in the woods.
I see. Yeah. Okay.
It doesn't have any importance besides the fact that it can kill the absolute shit out of you.
Oh, okay. Well, that's important.
Yeah. So the stories involving the manticore usually have it hiding in tall grass or reeds, so that only its human face was exposed, creating the effect of a bearded man standing in the foliage. And the manticore could not speak, but was described as having a voice not unlike a trumpet mixed with a flute.
That's weird. I was going to ask about the music.
Yeah, that's just the sound a manticore makes.
Wow.
But it has, it would mimic music to help lure in unsuspecting prey.
Makes sense.
So stories warned listeners about hearing music in the jungle, that basically a manticore might be nearby.
But you know how cool that must have been for the kids? Because they could have, like, wild parties and nobody would go because they'd be like, don't go near the music in the woods.
I don't know that kids were having parties in the woods.
Well, they should.
Well, but what about a manticore?
The manticore's invited. The manticore's probably hosting the party. He's a DJ.
So the name Manticore comes from a series of translations originating from the original Martia, which literally meant man and to eat. The name we are more familiar with comes from the Greek Martikoris.
Ooh.
Basically means the same thing.
Uh-huh.
A description of the beast was given in Ctesias's book Indica, but has since been lost. Other writings, such as Photius's Bibliotheca and Claudius Alienus's De Natura Animalium, have recounted scraps of these details and added to their own. So to paraphrase their information, the Manticora was a blue-eyed beast of India with a man's face. It was as large as the largest of lions, with fur the crimson hue of cinnabar. It possessed...
I thought you were going to say Cinnabon, and I was like, dope. Sorry.
No, unfortunately, Cinnabon was not around during, like, 77 AD.
That's why the Manticore's mad.
He's like, I know you invent this shit at some point.
And it's so good!
It possessed the feet and claws of a lion, and had 3 rows of teeth. It also had a scorpion's tail with a stinger the length of 1 cubit. This tail had 2 rows of secondary stingers the length of a Greek foot that could be fired in any direction from the tail in distances up to a plethron. The stingers would regenerate and were instantly fatal. Only an elephant was known to be immune to the poison, and it overcomes every beast except the lion. So I threw in there's a couple of terms in there, because like I said, this is their information written a very long time ago. A cubit was a unit of measurement the Greeks used, which was the approximate length of the tip of your middle finger to the end of your elbow.
It's about 17 inches.
Something like that, yeah.
Because I talked about it in the unicorn episode.
Oh, I guess I forgot.
That's also what they measured the arc in.
Oh, okay, in cubits. That makes sense. A Greek foot is about a regular-ass foot.
I was going to say.
It's kind of like a baker's dozen. It's like 13 or 14 or something.
It has an olive on it.
Yeah, it's oiled up.
Yeah, it's delicious. It's beautiful.
It's an oiled up foot. A plethron
I was going to ask about a plethron.
It's 100 feet. I don't know why.
Okay. I say plethora a lot, like as a general term for a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I think it probably means like
It's
a bunch of
related.
Greek feet.
Yeah, a bunch of Greek feet.
A bunch of Greek feet.
Love it.
Could be a band name. I don't know. That one might not be very
plethron?
good.
Yeah, I would listen
No,
to
I wasn't talking about plethron. I was talking a plethora of Greek feet.
Oh.
As a
I don't
band
know
name.
that I'd listen to that band. But we listen to the Butthole Surfers. So
Yeah, we do listen to the Butthole Surfers.
That's a real band, you guys.
It is a real band. Stories were told of the Manticore taking down 2 to 3 men at a time and devouring their bodies whole, hence how it got its name, man-eater. That it would not leave bodies behind. No bone, no clothes, no nothing.
Ohana means eat everything.
Ohana mean eat the whole family.
No family members' body parts are left behind.
So, Pliny the Elder had to get a hand on this ball because, of course, he did.
Because he's Pliny the Elder.
Because he's Pliny the Elder.
And that's what he do.
He described the Manticore in his work, Naturalis Historia.
Nice.
Ooh, natural history.
Whoa!
In it, he described the beast as having come from Africa instead of Persia and India. And mostly he rehashed what he had heard before from more reputable writers. He just wanted to get in there and screw it up real quick.
Yeah, he just wanted to be a part of it. Pliny just wants to fit in.
Pliny always wants to talk about something he doesn't know anything about.
Poor Pliny.
No, don't you poor Pliny him.
Baby Pliny.
Ctesias gives an account in which he describes a manticore presented to the Persian king by the Indians. In this account, the Greeks heard tell that made them doubt the veracity of the manticore. Instead, they believed Ctesias was giving an exaggerated account of a tiger.
I could see that.
I could see that too. The fur, the color of cinnabar, is a very deep red kind of orangish. Tigers are orange.
But the tail doesn't make sense. Now, the tail would make sense for a lion because they have that tuft of hair at the end.
Right, yeah.
But tigers don't typically
Don't have anything,
that.
Yeah. I could almost see, an explanation for the face, because tigers have that sort of way of looking.
They have very expressive faces.
Right, because usually the manticore is mistaken for an old man.
Right.
And you could probably mistake a tiger's face for, a bearded man.
Yeah, sometimes when I see old people, I'm like, that's a tiger! And then I'm like, oh, sorry.
But, yeah, I'm sure a problem many people have. You're like, oh my god, a tiger! No, it's just a really old dude.
Yeah.
My bad.
Sorry, sir.
I think another thing that's a little weird about the tiger explanation, though, is the total absence of stripes. That's kind of a defining feature, and the fact that it wouldn't mention it in any way.
Could they have been prehistoric ligers, you think?
Perhaps. I mean, it was, the Persian Empire was kind of in the middle between Africa and India, so if there was going to be interbreeding like that, that's where probably it would happen, yeah.
Sure. That would make them abnormally large, too.
Right. There is some art of manticores with striped fur. It's pretty far in between and few, but I think that might be more of a toss back to the fact that they thought it was probably tigers, so it was, designed in that way. It's not old art, it's new art that somebody has done. But I think that's...
We need an old art and a new art.
Oh, I when we post on the Instagram, I have an old art and a new art for you.
I'm so excited.
The old art is the thing that, when I originally looked at manticores, I was like, that's the most terrifying creature, period.
That is really freaking scary, because when I think of the manticore, I think of The Last Unicorn, which most things lead me back to The Last Unicorn.
Right, of course.
But it's the toothless old lion that they, enchant to look like a manticore.
Mm.
And it, I thought it was cool looking, because it had the lion face, but it was kind of human-esque. But it was cool looking. That picture you showed me was creepy.
Yeah. I'll actually talk about the lion-faced manticores. The old picture of the manticore that creeps me out, it's one of those things, when I look at old art, I don't look at it and imagine if that thing stepped off the page. That wouldn't be that scary to me. It looks kind of derpy.
Sure.
But the fact that I know somebody saw this and then tried to draw it down as best as what they saw, that's scary to me.
Ooh, yeah.
Thinking about what that picture would have actually looked like in the real world.
Now I'm gonna do that, and I hate it.
Yeah, anytime I look at old art, so some of the pictures I've given you for some of these are kind of old shitty art, but that's, when I see that, it's a very primal thing for me. It's that is really scary.
Yeah.
Somebody saw that, and regardless of what it actually looked like, they looked at that and was like, that's a man's face that's grinning at me.
Ooh.
And that's spooky.
Yeah.
So the manticore was used profusely on heraldry at the time as a symbol of unchallenged power. Despite everybody hearing these stories and thinking to themselves, oh, that's bullshit, that's a tiger, it still kind of picked up some traction.
Yeah.
Further to the west. Often the heraldry did not draw the tail in any detail, which I think is a little weird, since that's kind of
its whole big thing.
Important part, yeah. But, they would see the manticore decorated with hats of various design as well, which is strange.
He loves a good hat.
He loves a good hat. But a lot of the heraldry has, like, these different types of hats.
Sounds so dapper.
There's one hat in particular they like to use, and it's almost like the little nightcap, like sleepy gown.
Cute.
Sleepy, like long coned hat.
Oh, I'm gonna write a children's book called Sleepy Time Manticore.
There's a name for that, but I have no idea what the name of the hat is.
I don't know either.
So, like what you were talking about with the lion's face, at some point the Manticore began to change from its original design. Slowly the human face was replaced with that of a lion's to seem more fierce, and it gained leathery wings not unlike a dragon's. Some would even have horns and tusks that we talked about before, and these designs are more commonly what you'd find in regards to a Manticore nowadays, especially in media like Dungeons & Dragons, Magic the Gathering. In fact, Monster Hunter's Teostra is likely supposed to be a Manticore.
Oh, wow, okay.
Which would explain its musical theme as well.
Mind blown.
Yeah, which was like very like arid, deserty. In fact, that was his whole region was the desert. And the Persian Empire spanned from like India to like Saudi Arabia.
Wow.
I personally do not care for the changes that they made to the Manticore. I like the old original Manticore design.
I like the new one. Sorry.
I don't. It feels over the top. It feels overdone. And it had no basis at all. Like, there was never any description of it having wings or anything. That was just added later. It's like, this isn't scary enough. We need to give it wings.
They're like, this could be cooler.
What if it had dragon wings?
It needs to be about 20% cooler.
Well, yeah, they changed pretty much the whole creature.
Yeah.
It was like, why even have this creature?
Yeah, I guess the original was scarier, but the newer one is more aesthetically pleasing.
I guess. Well, the reason why I don't like the changes so much is because of these changes that the Manticore started to see confusion with other similar beasts. So the Chimera and the Sphinx are very close to what a Manticore is and once was. A Chimera... I will talk at some point. We kicked our cat out so she wouldn't sneeze on the podcast, and she is now sticking her head up to the bottom of the door and sneezing under it.
She says, fuck you, I will sneeze on the air.
I will sneeze. You will hear my sneeze.
Oh, she's okay, everybody. She's
just snotty and gross.
She has the herpes,
She's
but
got the herpes.
It's managed. She's okay. Just a disclaimer.
I mean, our cat can sneeze, okay?
Yeah.
This is America.
Yeah. She can sneeze if she wants.
She wants to.
She can sneeze if she wants to.
I will talk at some point about, like, in length about a Chimera and a Sphinx. Those could easily be episodes of their own.
They really could.
But just kind of a brief breakdown on Chimeras and Sphinx. The Chimera, has the head and body of a lion.
Right.
With a goat's head protruding from the back and a snake for a tail.
Oh, so, like, it kind of does the Voldemort thing where it's got the head on the back of its head? Because I've always seen it as, like, a three-headed animal.
The goat's head just comes out of the back. Like, not even facing the same direction. Just protruding. Like, somebody sewed a severed goat head on there. That's the original design. The Chimera, much like the Manticore, went through some changes, and eventually it became a three-headed beast.
Okay.
Either a two- or three-headed beast with a snake tail at the end. Sometimes it was replaced with a scorpion tail, because...
Why not?
Why not? Yeah, they're all the same creature now.
I guess so.
Yeah. Chimeras also didn't have wings, but later were given...
Right.
We're given dragon wings. Because why not? It was just like... Somebody at that time, some scholar or someone was like, you know what's really scary? Shit that can fly.
Yeah. Maybe it was... Okay, so you know how, like, kids and me like to draw eyes on stuff? Maybe back then it was like you just draw wings.
You draw wings
stuff.
on things? You draw leathery bat wings on everything?
Yeah, why not?
I guess that could have been a trend. There's been dumber trends that have come around.
Like what, Clay?
Fortnite.
Oh.
Yeah, get dunked on. So that's the Chimera. A Sphinx has the body of a lion and a human head.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you've seen them. You've seen the big statues
the big Egypt
in
thing.
Egypt. Yeah.
They
typically
usually tell
weren't that big, but... but they just had a human-ass head on a lion body.
Huh.
Now, both of these were, quite different than each other. The Chimera was known to breathe fire, and Sphinxes were not mindless beasts, but would actually allow humans that they encountered to live if they correctly answered their riddles.
Okay.
The Manticore had no sense of that. It was much like a tiger. It simply just hunted and ate.
Was it like a malicious creature, or was it just it was hungry and
malicious
it had to eat?
in the way that it hunted, in that it tricked humans with the sound of its voice,
Gotcha.
and with its appearance into letting your guard down.
Right.
And then,
But it
getting
wasn't
murdered.
like some kind of evil thing.
Right,
to
no, it wasn't
draw you.
evil.
It was just an animal.
It did prefer human flesh. Like a manticore
So
would
did
eat
Jeffrey
other
Dahmer.
things. A manticore would eat other things, but it preferred humans
Okay.
and would go hungry if it meant that it could get a human.
Maybe I needed to try the jackfruit.
Maybe if only he had took the jackfruit from Karun.
Go back in time. Tell Karun to give him the jackfruit.
If of course I play Dungeons and Dragons. If any of my players were here, as soon as I mentioned the name Karun, they would have been on their phones Googling what does the name Karun mean, because of how I am with names.
What does it mean?
It means like compassionate
Oh.
and empathetic.
Oh, I love him.
Not as big a tie-in to like what his little story was about, but
Right.
that would have just been like a first thing they would have done. Is like, hold on, let me see what this name means.
Yeah,
'Cause-
Clay's an interesting DM.
Because in other, it's one of those things I would never bring up, really. Like, sometimes I'll bring them up if I'm particularly proud of them, but sometimes I just leave them there. But, like, American names don't usually mean much. There's a little bit, like, some names mean kind of this and that,
Right.
but it's pretty, like, on the nose and simple. Like, Clayton means, like, house of clay. Yeah. Woo. But other languages, other cultures, when they name their kids, they usually give them a meaningful name. And it's not like the names are uncommon, but it's like the names mean something.
Right.
Like, oh, this means like brave warrior or something,
Aw. My name means like love.
Gay.
It's better than dirt. Clay.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, it
Technically,
hurts,
the
doesn't
combination of my names, Austin Clay, means venerable man of the earth, or like well-respected man of the earth.
it? That's cool as shit.
Yeah, it's cool when you say it that way, but Austin Clay just kind of sounds pretty, like it sounds like you want to give that guy a swirly. Like, it's like, actually, I'm going to give you a swirly.
It's not personal.
And it's
man.
like, and fair. If I met someone named Austin Clay, I would give them a swirly as well.
Give yourself swirlies, bro.
I guess I need to. I'm overdue for one. So, it is thought the Manticore is nothing more than an exaggeration in the description of a Bengal tiger. They are native to the areas, India and what was once the Persian Empire. They are frightful predators, deserving of a tale such as the Manticore. Many people would go missing in the jungle, and it's easy to see why a story of a man-eating beast that leaves not even bones behind might appear to explain these differences.
That's true. Well, that's one of the whole things why they wanted to say that Carol Baskin allegedly fed her husband to tigers, because they can digest bones.
You can digest bones. So it's pretty easy to see that.
Yeah, understandable. I would assume that the internal structure of the manticore is similar to that of a tiger. I've never dissected one, though, so.
But, maybe these stories aren't just stories.
Oh?
Perhaps something waits just beyond the tree line for its next meal.
It's me.
People go missing all the time, right? So, I mentioned about Dungeons and Dragons and Magic the Gathering.
You always mention.
Always
Dungeons
mention
and
at least
Dragons.
one of those two things. But manticores are pretty popular in video games.
Yeah.
It's honestly, there's too many to list, but manticores are in just about any sort of fantasy setting video game that you can think of. They're typically going to be the wrong version of the manticore, with the lion's head and the wings and stuff. But they're there, and they're usually some form of formidable opponent. If they're not a boss, they're like a world-roaming enemy you don't want to run into.
Yeah. Like in open world games where you take the long...
Right, like even if they don't kill you, they're just taxing on your resources.
Yeah. They're just a pain.
That, and creatures, like enemies that poison you in a video game are the worst.
That's me. I always choose a poison character. Like, I always have a poison sword in Monster Hunter.
So manticores don't really have a weakness, although if you Google manticore weakness, you will get all of those video game examples I talked about earlier,
right,
telling you their specific weakness in that game.
Yeah, some sources say they're like elemental weaknesses or...
Right, but there's no telling if that was even pulled from a video game or not. They can die like anything else can. you kill them to death.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do with them. That's the only way to kill a manticore is to kill it to death.
Oh, yeah. Very specific.
Now, there were some stories of, like, the Indian people catching a, like, baby manticore and crushing its stinger with a rock. Which, like, why would you do that and then release it into the wild? Wouldn't you just kill the baby manticore, I guess?
Maybe
like,
they were going to keep it as a pet, and then their mom came home from work and was
Their
like,
collective-
absolutely not.
their collective mom.
Yeah, their collective mom. The village mom.
The
came
village
home
ama.
and was like, no, you put that back outside. And they had to, like, they didn't want to.
Right.
They shouldn't have, that's inhumane.
But there you go. So, how likely are you to survive an encounter with a manticore?
Well, I think that the sheer adrenaline of, I gotta get the fuck out of here, would make me survive. Because it doesn't seem to pursue.
Oh, no, it does.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
Maybe I wasn't clear because I in my story allowed the small Indian boy to escape.
Yeah,
but
you did.
you typically don't.
Oh.
Yeah. The manticore kills and eats. Like I said, the paraphrased story from Tessius's writings, it would pounce and kill 2 to 3 men at a time. So,
Well, I'm no man. Could kill like 6 of me at a time.
6
I'm
of you at a time.
baby. Yeah, I'd give myself like a 3.
Really? I'd give myself like a 2.
Really?
Yeah, pretty much the only way to survive a manticore encounter is to either kill the manticore, which seems to be a great deal of difficulty, or outrun the manticore, which also seems to be a great deal of difficulty to do.
My plan is to be like, hey, look over there. It's Robert Loggia. And then I'll run away.
You forgot the part about it just being like basically an actual tiger.
Yeah, that's true.
So how spooky is the manticore?
Manticore is a little creepier than I was giving it credit for, but I don't think the Manticore is like that creepy. Now, like the original one, like the visual of the guy in the tall grass and you think it's a human and then like this whole ass Manticore walks out, that's pretty spooky. But I'd give him like the lowest. Yeah.
The lowest?
Yeah, like the lowest or second lowest.
You'd give... So a not spooky.
Yeah, well, no, they can have a spooky.
They can have You're going to generously give them a spooky.
I'm going to give them a spooky.
Okay.
It's a spooky.
Well, I'm going to give them a 3 spooky for me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they get up there. It may not be like a maxed out 3 spooky for me, but it's in
3
that
spooky,
bracket.
5 maybe?
Yeah, it's in the top 80% of spook for me.
Oh, wow. Really? Why?
Something about that, like, blank stare that's... Something about imitating a human facade is really scary to me. Mm-hmm. Just anything that does that is pretty spooky.
Yeah, that is like a sign of higher intelligence.
Yeah, and, like, on a beast that is not necessarily a higher... Like, I don't know, it's extremely unnerving. It spooks me to my bones.
Oh.
It rattles me bones.
It rattles me bones.
It rattles me bones.
Oh, no.
Yeah, maybe I should have ended my little story with, instead he looks back and sees the old man face, like...
In the window?
Well, no, not in the window, but, like, retreating back into the grass slowly.
Ooh. Like that Homer Simpson
Yeah, like the Homer Simpson gif.
Love it.
So how likely is the Manticore to exist?
I don't think it does.
You don't think it does?
I don't think it does. No, I think there might have been, like... I think it was some kind of, like, mistaken identity that got embellished. But I mean, it's not in Australia, so I don't think it could be real.
It's close to Australia.
Yeah, but nah.
It's in the same hemisphere, I think. It's around there.
We don't know geography.
It's somewhere around there.
We're
It's
podcast hosts, not geologists. Geographists.
Yeah, so what number would you give it then? You got to give it a number.
What was
1 to 10.
1 to 10 on how likely it is to exist?
Right.
I give it a 1.
Damn.
Yeah. Sorry, Manticore.
Damn, a whole 1, huh? I mean, I'll give it a 2.
Yeah.
Maybe a 3.
It does exist in the hearts
In a
and
sense.
minds of Ninja Sex Party fans.
Right, and their
because
song,
that is
Manticore.
a song, and it has been stuck in my head this whole time.
Yeah, it's a great song, and in it he describes a terrible beast, but it is not the traditional Manticore.
Yeah.
But the way they bastardized the Manticore and turned it into a weird, like the Chimera's ugly brother, then yeah, it might as well be the same description of the Manticore.
Sure. I believe in that Manticore.
That Manticore, the Manticore that has the ability to kick your ass in with its feet and then kick your feet with its gigantic ass.
100%.
That's the lyric from the song. You should go listen to it.
You should.
Likely to exist, yeah, 3. I mean, there would have been some sort of proof. If anything, the stories have stopped of the Manticore at this point.
Right, there's no
one's
current.
really telling.
I even looked and couldn't find any more current Manticore
Yeah, at
sightings.
most it's like a local boogeyman that
Yeah.
people tell you, like, don't go in the woods because you'll get gobbled up by the Manticore.
Yeah.
But it was definitely based on something.
Right.
Right, you know, whether that was the tiger or something else, or even like a tiger with like a weird mange or genetic disease or something. Because I could see like
if it was missing hair on its face, like on its
like
face,
just the front of
maybe.
its face, but not like around its jawline and
Yeah.
stuff. Could definitely look like a man more so than regular.
Sure.
So how likely is Manticore to be an alien?
Clay, I gotta go with a 1.
Gotta go with the one.
I gotta go with a 1. I'm sorry. I don't think the Manticore. Well,
You doubt yourself.
now I doubt myself. I'm gonna say if the Manticore exists or ever existed, it's probably more likely an alien.
Oh, you really swung all the way around on here.
I did.
Because you said it was a 1, and now you just said that the most probable thing would be that it's an alien.
I don't know. If
I
it
think
exists,
you
well,
do
I
that-
don't.
You
I
do
don't
this
think,
with this question every time.
I do. I don't like this question. So if it exists, which I don't believe it does or ever did, but if it was to exist, it would. What else would it be?
Like I say, it would have to be an alien.
Like it. No, I'm going with my gut instinct. It's not an alien. Manticore's
Yeah, I don't
not
think
an
it's an alien. I don't think aliens had anything to do with the Manticore.
I like how you made a whole case for it, and then you're like, no, it's not.
I didn't make a case for it. You made a case for it.
Shut up, Clay.
So speaking of this, we had to go back. My phone was destroyed, and it had our questions. We couldn't remember our questions. We had to go and listen to our own episodes to figure out the last questions. And I was listening to it on double speed. And there's this one part in the zombie episode on double speed where when I speak, I sound like Ben Shapiro.
You sound exactly like Ben Shapiro.
It's really funny.
We had to pause and laugh for like 45 minutes.
So we will play you a clip of that now.
It's
Please,
our gift to
please
you.
enjoy.
Why the hell not? I'll give him a 7.
A 7?
I'll give him a 7. Feeling generous.
Good lord. Yeah, I'd say a 2. I don't think zombies are aliens.
Wow, I love how you gaslighted me into.
I have no reason at all to figure out like why you would give that a 7.
Just be a nice guy.
And with that,
So there you go. Now you can listen to every episode twice. Once on normal speed, once on double speed.
it's like listening to Ben Shapiro.
Yeah, it's like listen. Ben Shapiro's on this podcast in a weird alternate dimension.
Oh gosh, that's amazing. Well, everybody, we do think that you should go follow us on Instagram at Obsessed with the Palmers. Clay, if they would like to request a mythical creature or being or animal, or if they just want to tell us how much you sound like Ben Shapiro or that they hate my voice, where should they email us? Well, actually, I understand we have a new email. Is that right?
Yeah, so I mentioned my phone getting destroyed.
It got destroyed.
Unfortunately, Gmail does not allow you to reset your password if certain parameters have not been filled first. So I wasn't allowed to get it back.
That's stupid.
I tried contacting support, but there's no saving it. So our new email is obsessedwiththepalmers@yahoo.com.
Love it.
So if you sent an email to us and we didn't answer back, send us a new one at the Yahoo email, because I always answer the emails. So if I didn't answer you, then it's because it happened. You sent the email
After the destruction.
after the destruction of the previous, so.
Right, yeah. So it's still Obsessed with the Palmers, OBSESSEDWITHTHEPALMERS at yahoo.com. And follow us on Instagram. We're going to be doing some more giveaways soon. And we love you. We're proud of you. Everything you do is great. And just keep it up, honey. And we'll see you next time. Clay, would you like to say anything to the children?
If you hear music from the woods, don't go in.
I'm just going to go check it out. I'm
You're just gonna go take a look?
Yeah, I'm just going to go take a quick peek. Bye!